Hello there. I'm somewhat out of the loop with everything because of my recent becoming of a parent. That happened back on Tuesday. It's currently, well, happened on Thursday. It's currently Sunday, and everything's on top of me. But I've done my pre recorded videos now, and I thought I'd swing in with something non pre recorded because I saw a little bit of news and I'm trying to get back into a little bit of rhythm, and hopefully that helps with everything. So, Leeds United, having had a little bit of an upswing, getting 4 points from the last three games where we expected very little, it would have been five if not for the late Phil Foden goal, are in a little bit of a position where we don't really know what to do. Daniel Farke has proven that he can learn and he can evolve, which is a very, very good thing, but I think everyone would still look at the squad and say that it could do with a little bit of evolving. Thankfully, Leeds United have been linked with a move for a fairly major player that I think could be a big transformation to the squad. So I'll talk you through that. I'll talk you through the response from the potential selling club, and I will talk you through what it means for the transfer strategy going forwards in a moment or so. But just before I do, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who has watched my stuff in the time that I've spent off. If you've been liking, subscribing, all that kind of fun stuff, massively appreciated. Always has been, always will be. Cool. Anyway, the news. Leeds United have been linked with a potential signing, or at least have had an approach for Martin Baturina, who currently plays at Como under, I believe, Cesc Fabregas. This was reported by Fabrizio Romano, so it's not going to be a big bit of nothing. He's especially good when it comes to Italian transfer news, rather than just the sort of worldwide stuff. So this is something that almost certainly has happened. I'll tell you a bit more about the player, in that he is a number 10. He's a very, very good number 10, and he's only 22 years old, 15 caps for Croatia. He's the kind of player that you get in and has a little bit of shine to him. He will evolve, he will get better, but there is a slight issue that he's got at the minute, and that is the fact he's had under 200 minutes for Como this season. They signed him in the summer, got him on a contract until 2030, which you'd think, if you're in his position, cool, I'm going to play plenty of football, and then he's only played 215 minutes. The issue that he's got at the minute is that he is behind Nico Paz in the order. Nico Paz being a very promising player. He's been linked to Real Madrid, various Premier League sides, ridiculously good footballer. So I understand why he's not necessarily been getting the minutes that he would 100% want. Como paid 21 million euros for him in the summer and would look to get the majority of that back. Fabrizio Romano reported that Leeds United were going to effectively do that. Leeds would pay it back and make it so that they didn't really lose any money on the deal, which is fantastic for them. Confusing for us, and it means that we would presumably sell someone either in January or in the summer, but it ultimately adds to a little bit of a story that Leeds are in the market right now. In terms of Como's response, which is ultimately one of the things that matters most here, if they don't want to sell a player, they won't sell a player, and it looks like they don't particularly want to let go of him. Because the idea between both Bacciarina and Como is that they want to make it work. They want to find a way for it to all add up, which I completely understand. And I think there is a way of doing that, which is the fact that Nico Paz's discussions of sales and all this kind of stuff, and the fact that he's been rated at like 60 to 80 million pounds by various different people, means that next summer I can 100% see him leaving Como, which I absolutely understand. I think that would be best for Paz, and I think that'd be best for Bacciarina, who would then be playing football in Serie A at a decently high level. The thing is, this opens the door a little bit for Leeds, because Como seemed to be of the impression that we don't want to let him go permanently, because that would be a bad thing because it's very, very early to do so. However, Leeds could potentially make that move happen on loan. And if Leeds United signed Bacciarina on loan, then by the time Nico Paz has moved out, Bacciarina has had plenty of time playing football in the Premier League to evolve and improve and all this kind of stuff. The first half of the season, getting 200 minutes, is not enough for him to keep getting better. However, you transplant him into this Leeds United side, into the 3-5-2, play centrally in that 5, and then suddenly you've got someone linking between the midfield and the front two because he can also play as a central midfielder. I think that would be an absolutely perfect move. Likelihood of it happening, I'm not sure, but you never know. However, with it being a potentially not sure move going on, according to Romano, it does scream something quite loudly, and that is the fact that Leeds United are at the very least in the market right now. If we've been approaching Como and saying we will sign Bacciarina for 20-something million euros, there's no chance that we would then say, but we won't sign anybody else. It says that Leeds are at the very least diving into their shortlist, seeing who isn't getting the minutes they might want, and making steps towards getting those signings in, which means to be honest, this is a good sign that the 49ers are learning a lesson. The 49ers are learning that January isn't necessarily a time where you can just sit and wait and then nothing happens. January this season is a time where we're going to have to get things rolling. Because if we don't get things rolling this January and then suddenly things go a little bit wrong, if we get a Tanaka injury in addition to an Ampadu injury at the same time, suddenly you've lost a defensive midfielder, Stack has to drop in there. You've got Longstaff, fine, but Longstaff is injured and Dan James is injured. So that sort of attacking, forward-thinking presence is something that is going to be welcome, and thankfully the 49ers are recognising that. I personally don't know off the top of my head who else we are looking at. I would, again, scream from the rooftops, please include Edouard Spurtjan, because Spurtjan is a ridiculously good player who I think has a ceiling that is just phumph. Issue being he's stuck in Russia, and sorting out the funds behind that move are baffling. But it shows that we're making moves. And that's what I want from Leeds at the moment. We've seen that Daniel Farke can change that tactical shape. Everyone's been screaming, he's really stubborn. He changed something against City, it looked good, and he was like, cool, let's keep doing this. I don't know whether he'll do the same against Palace and against Brentford because they're different teams. But I think it could be a very interesting one to keep a little bit of an eye on. But the 49ers making their little evolutions is still going to be a little bit of a question mark. Will we get a number 10 in January? I don't know. Will we get a winger in? I don't know. Will it be a central midfielder? It could, in theory, be a central midfielder because Bacciarina can play in that sort of central midfieldy role as more of a sort of progressing player. But it's all a big question mark at the minute. All we know, made an approach for Bacciarina, got rejected, but we could still be a part of that conversation. Anyway, I am going to do a little bit more rambling because I will be honest, I want to. And it's my YouTube channel. I just wanted to, again, say a big thank you to everyone that sort of stuck by the channel recently. Part of the reason I've been really bad at making content is a combination of work piling up and baby prep piling up. And now baby, don't put the baby on the pile. If the baby falls off the pile, you've got a problem. But the people that have stuck by the channel and helped it to stay where it is have genuinely meant a hell of a lot to me. So if you're one of those people, I massively appreciate it. If this is your first video here, I equally massively appreciate it because channels don't grow without new people. And thankfully, that's what you new people are here for. So like and subscribe and become a member and all that kind of fun stuff. And I will be looking to get back into the rhythm of it over the next couple of weeks, couple of months. I might be a little bit off and you can shout at me if I am, but I promise you I'm doing my best. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed. I might do something on a sort of retrospective on the 3 matches that I wasn't here for. We'll find out. But yeah, I will see you later. Also, very quick shout out to Jer and Evie for coming on doing the pre-recorded stuff. That was genuinely massive and it really, really helped. Hope you enjoyed. Ta-ra. I forgot how hard it is to record for 8 minutes. You just lose track time and time again. Toodaloo.